Welcome to Stacktastic, the weekly web show for the avid comic book reader and those who aspire to become so. Now these days, thanks to aggressive publicity departments and websites like Bleeding Cool, it's hard for a comic book company to deliver some genuinely surprising news. But that's just what Marvel did late last week when they announced that they'll be debuting a predominantly black Avengers team in September, Mighty Avengers. So today we're going to take a closer look at the Mighty Avengers lineup, many of whom are new faces to the casual comic book reader. Plus, as always, my recommendations for what comics to pick up or download this week. Let's get started. As is typical when it comes to change, it took a jarring loss to spur the powers that be into action. Marvel bigwig Tom Brevoort said it was the death of Dwayne McDuffie that inspired him to finally greenlight a Black Avengers title, wanting to put out a book that McDuffie, a pioneer of diversity in the medium, would be proud of. Never mind that it's tragic McDuffie himself wasn't given this kind of opportunity, or that two white guys are writing and drawing Mighty Avengers. Instead, let's try to focus on the positive aspects of this new title, which is its lineup. Now, Brevoort said they wanted to put together a team that was at least 50% non-white and 50% non-male, which they kinda have here. On the page, the guy who gets this whole thing rolling will be Luke Cage. Cage is a prime example of a white writer raising the profile of a non-white character, as it was Brian Michael Bendis who took niche character Power Man, rebranded him as Luke Cage, and made him a vital member of the Avengers during his run. It was a shame that Cage left the team when Bendis did, so it's a nice surprise to see him back in the fight so quickly. But let's hope it's not under tragic circumstances, as his wife, the superhero Jessica Jones, is nowhere to be seen here. The other most notable member here is Monica Rambeau, who served as Captain America on the Avengers and even briefly led the team. It was another white guy, Warren Ellis, who brought her back into the spotlight with cult hit title Next Wave. And even after that title was canceled, it allowed her to stay at least on the edge of both Marvel editors and audiences' radar. But now, after decades of aimlessness, Rambeau finally gets a new name, Spectrum, and costume. Her ability to control the electromagnetic spectrum should make for some interesting visuals, although good luck to writer Al Ewing when it comes to explaining such hardcore science to readers. It's also worth noting that Cage and Rambeau have very similar looks to Nick Fury Jr. and Misty Knight, both of whom didn't make the cut here. Another high-profile member of the team, or soon-to-be high-profile, is Falcon. Including Sam Wilson on this team and on the new animated series Avengers Assemble is all part of Marvel's expected game plan to familiarize audiences with the character prior to his big-screen debut in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, two left-field additions to the team are Prodigy and Blue Marvel. Prodigy, aka David Allen, or at least I think that's Prodigy, is a former X-Men who lost his powers thanks to the Scarlet Witch. He never regained his ability to absorb a person's knowledge, but did regain all the knowledge he absorbed prior to losing his powers, which includes the X-Men. And of course, he's got his recently acquired power gloves to help out. Never heard of Blue Marvel? Don't feel bad! Debuting in 2008, this is one new superhero that didn't quite click with readers, yet Marvel clearly feels he has untapped potential. Adam Brasier was a former U.S. Marine turned masked superhero in the 1960s, but when it was discovered he was African American, it was also discovered that America wasn't ready for a black superhero. Much to his anger and regret, Adam agreed to go into retirement, but recently started to dabble in the game again. As for his powers, think Superman mixed with Wolverine with energy blasts to boot. Then there's also the newest White Tiger, Hispanic teenager Ava Ayala, who's the sister of the original White Tiger, Hector Ayala. She's also a relatively new character, debuting in Avengers Academy in 2011. But Marvel has high hopes for her, as they also picked her for their Ultimate Spider-Man animated series. She gets her cat-like powers from the mystical jade amulet worn by all the White Tigers who came before her. You'll notice She-Hulk is also on the team for star power, as is a new Ronin. Marvel has promised that a new person will be behind the mask, but considering that Clint Barton once wore this guise, this could be a major reveal rather than just a new character. Speaking of star power and masks, you'll notice that Spider-Man is also on this team. Marvel says that's Superior Spider-Man, aka Otto Octavius in Peter Parker's body, yet isn't he wearing Miles Morales' uniform? The existence of a Miles Morales in the 616 was teased at the end of the Spider-Man crossover last year, and I can't think of a better title for him to debut in. Can you? While Mighty Avengers hit stores in September, what can you pick up this week? Well, I hope you'll consider picking up Superbia number 8, the first truly big action issue of the series. I've included a link in the video description where you can get it digitally on Comixology. And again, a big thanks to everyone at Calgary Expo and Phoenix Comic-Con who made Superbia the first trade to sell out at both shows at the Boom booth. And I'm sure many of you will be picking up at least one Scott Snyder title this week, as the superstar writer has 3 major ones hitting shelves. First, there's Superman Unchained, where he's teaming up with superstar artist Jim Lee, just in time for Man of Steel. And then over in his fan-favorite Batman title, Snyder and Greg Capullo reimagined Batman Year One for the New 52. Then last week, I was just talking about how unfortunate it is that American Vampire is in hiatus. But lo and behold, we're getting a special 64-page one-shot this week, featuring 1950s vampire hunter Travis Kidd. Where does Snyder find the time? Also, you might recall my recent Spotlight episode on James Gordon Jr., who just joined the Suicide Squad. If you want to find out how that's working out, then be sure to pick up Suicide Squad this week, where Harley Quinn and company try to turn the tables on Amanda Waller and Gordon Jr., emphasis on try. Then over at Marvel, Avenging Spider-Man features an inspired team-up, Superior Spider-Man and the Punisher. Has Otto Octavius finally found a hero who approves of his harsh, no-nonsense tactics? And over in Wolverine and the X-Men, while the Hellfire kids are super annoying, you still might want to stop by to see them reopen the doors to the Hellfire Academy. It's a shame that Jason Aaron's X-Men title has taken such a dive in quality lately, so I'm reluctant to recommend it, but well, this sounds kind of important. Finally, Dark Horse debuts True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, the next comic series from My Chemical Romance frontman Gerard Way. Following up his cult hit The Umbrella Academy, here Way is joined on writing duties by fellow bandmate Sean Simon, while indie comic superstar artist Becky Cloonan handles the visuals. And that's this week's Stacktastic. I'm Grace Randolph for Think About the Ink, and hope to see you back on Friday for Between the Pages. Until then, happy reading.